Hi, check out my new Reddit channel where I read the best Reddit stories, breakups, crazy ex and much more. Link is down in the description. Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds to receive a week of good luck, so like and subscribe. AskReddit. What is your accidentally caught your spouse cheating horror story? My first long-term girlfriend and I were going to go to the same college. I got accepted, but had to start the semester after she did, meaning we would be slightly long distance for a few months. It wasn't too bad, because we were only about 2 hours apart, so it was pretty easy to visit, but our relationship did struggle a bit. I remember one night I got a phone call from her, and when I picked up it was obvious it was a butt dial. I could hear her talking to some guy, but couldn't make out what they were saying. I called her, and she picked up, and I asked what was up. She said she was in bed about to go sleep. I told her about the butt dial and she said it was her friend Jack, who I met, asking to borrow something. I thought it was odd, but brushed it off. A couple weeks later I was up there visiting her, and I met a bunch of cool people, including this guy Luke. After I got back from visiting I get a Facebook message from him saying, "Look man, I hate to be the one to say this, but I think you're an awesome guy and you don't deserve this to be happening to you. She's been cheating on you with this guy pretty soon after she started here." I was devastated, but I had to hear it from her, so I called her and said, "Are you cheating on me?" She gave a heavy sigh and said, "Well, at least I don't have to lie anymore." That guy's voice I had heard wasn't Jack. It was the guy she was cheating on me with. I just trusted her so much that I took her word for it. Even though it was painful, I was grateful for Luke sending me that message. What's funny is that most of the people I met up there that were her friends sided with me after the breakup, so when I started going there that next semester I had a group of friends to support me, and most of them are still very close friends of mine to this day. My ex-husband used to keep an emergency $5 bill in his wallet, folded up and tucked into a side pocket. He openly told me he kept it there and reminded me it was there, and often told me to just take it if I needed it. Over the few years we were together I used and replaced that $5 bill a few times, usually because I needed cash for food at work and didn't have time to stop or something like that. I never just looked through his wallet. My policy is that if we are at a point that I feel the need to look through your wallet/phone/email, then we are already in trouble. So, I had a doctor's appointment, and I was running short on time. My doctor copay was $5 for an office visit, and I didn't want to use my debit card, so on my way out the door I grabbed his wallet and took out the $5 bill, and out with the $5 bill came a small piece of paper with the name of a shady hookup website, a username, and a password. This was before phone apps. 2004-ish. Right there, just written out, right there. So I went back to my computer and typed in the website and looked up his account. I worked nights at the time, 6 PM to 6 AM, and his profile said he was available for whatever between the hours of 8 PM and 5 AM on the days I worked. His profile also had no picture, but it was probably because he's an idiot and didn't know how to use a freaking computer or memorize his cheater information. So I very kindly loaded a picture for him on his profile, and I know what you're thinking, because it took every ounce of self-control I had to not post a picture of a giant turd or something fun, but I didn't. I posted a nice, flattering picture of him. Later when I told him about it, and he asked why I added a nice picture, I told him because I needed him to latch onto the next idiot and GTFO. I also went to Yahoo and typed in the username and password combo as an email address, just for funsters. He didn't know I had done that. He denied everything for hours. Told me it was a joke, his friends thought it was funny, whatever. I let him sweat, and then actually pulled out printed versions of the email conversations associated with that shady website. And for the record, my ex was asleep when this happened, so I didn't wake him up while I looked it up. I was about 15 minutes late to my doctor appointment, and my doctor freaked out at my blood pressure and wanted to put me on medication because it was so high. I told him with a straight face that I had literally just found out my husband was cheating on me just 15 minutes before, so he let it go and made me come back for a follow-up in a week. And I never put that $5 back because F him, but I did put his username/password back in his wallet because I'm thoughtful. I had woken up that morning to her receiving a random text message from a girl she worked with, but there was no other texts, but the message seemed like it was part of a conversation. It wasn't a particularly suspect message, just that there was no past messages. To put it in context, my GF acted equally confused. I was feeling ill and wanted to stay home from my class that morning, and she was very insistent that I didn't, which I thought was odd. On the way there, I was stuck on the highway with no way to pull over quick enough, and I threw up all over myself in the car. I finally pulled over and cleaned up a bit, but I was absolutely hysterical, and I was like, I'm coming home, I obviously can't make it to my class, and she was like, okay, well, I'm the next town over getting brunch with the girl from the text message earlier. I came home and showered, and before I even put clothes on, I looked at her call/text records, and she had been messaging this girl all night long. I confronted her, and she basically admitted that they had been getting closer, and I think she admitted that they had kissed, and that was it. I was so physically ill I couldn't really get out of bed, and I had to be at work at 4:30 the next morning, so I just slept all day. But I was home from work the next day before she woke up, and she was awakened by me packing my shit up and moving home. Note, the girl she was cheating on me with was a friend of hers from work that we had hung out with multiple times. I had given her rides, smoked her out, and was cool with all her friends, and the whole time everyone knew they were hooking up behind my back. Cunt. Obligatory, not my spouse, but have a few great cheating stories. All my exes in my short adult life have cheated on me. I have caught all of them. First, in college, this girl I was seeing was still pretty close with her ex from HS and described him as a womanizer/cheater. They would hang out sometimes to catch up, grab drinks, whatever, but I never got good vibes from him. I expressed my feelings of discomfort, but didn't want to taint the relationship because of my bad feeling. 2 years later, I find her sleeping with him, and has been for the 3 years we were together. Second, girl I met on Tinder, too busy to go out and meet new people, pretty solid chemistry, kinda hippie-ish but grounded, started becoming distant. Posted on her Insta with her new man at a show I couldn't go to. Confronted her, said she wasn't looking for a relationship any longer, but was in one a week after we stopped being in one with this dude. Bought her very nice $, seat for her fab bang for her birthday. I went instead. Third, probably hurt the worst. Ex from high school I broke up with due to college and distance. I really liked her. We rekindled our relationship a few years later, picked up where we left off. At a point I was going through a really dark time in my head and life and just loved having her around, but was sort of distant. A buddy of mine took her to a show for me, was in California for family, and lost her in the crowd as she went, and met some new people. Fast forward a month. She gets shit-faced with this guy she met at this show and starts sending me Snapchats of them having sex. Started playfully with her neck, coated in hikers, then escalated to no holds bar. She tried to make amends the next day after I blew up her phone that night. My buddy still feels like it's his fault we ended, though I've told him it's not. Fourth, Tinder #2, again, busy bee. Pretty decent time, met over her winter break for college. Punk-ish, rebellious hipster type. She goes back, and we talk every night, FaceTime, whatever. She brought up how she wanted to be my girlfriend and she'd be lucky to have me as a boyfriend. I'm hesitant because distant and my past, but sure. Plan on her coming back for spring break. She becomes sick and ends up having sex with a dude who gives her free weed. I found out because she posted on her Insta story about him taking a shot from between her boobs and making out with her. Confronted her about it and basically came down to reaction. Moral of the story, think before you post on social media. It'll come back to bite you. As I post on social media. I opened my sister's door to ask for a hair tie and she was fucking my BF. This was in high school, but still. I spit on them, yelled why, and went downstairs to leave. My dad is in the living room on the computer and asks what's wrong. I say go upstairs and see for yourself, iron outside, and heard the yelling right away. My dad chased him out of the neighborhood naked. She got shipped to my mom's house shortly after that and got pregnant at 17 years old. Edit. Whoa. Didn't expect anyone to actually see that. This was just the start with her. To answer some questions, I asked why later, and he said he did it because she would have sex and I wouldn't. I was still a virgin, and she was sexually active at 12. No, I never spoke to him again. He's actually a meth head now. She slept with another one of my boyfriends a year later. Another one, I found them kissing on our front porch one day after grade 12. Fast forward to me being fresh out of high school, full-time job that I loved. She knocked up with number 2 and my dad made me quit my job and move in with her to watch my 1-year-old niece so she could finish high school. She does, then has THR baby and is too lazy to raise either, so I do for a year. I finally say enough. I didn't want to leave my niece and nephew, but I was a kid and wanting my own life and not to live in her apartment with her new boyfriend and 2 kids. I moved back home and start new. My nephew's father ends up getting custody. She didn't try to fight and didn't show up to 3 different court dates to try and win him back at all. So she takes my niece and splits up north to hide in our hometown. By now my niece is 3 and from up until now, she turns 18 on the 9th. She has lived in 4 different provinces and Florida twice. My sister has ran all over the country, going through probably around 100 men. She's been engaged more than I can count. Back to me. When I moved back home, got my life back together, and my own place about a year later, who comes knocking at the door? My seasoned niece. Can we stay for a bit? Of course, you're my sister. She fucks my roommate, doesn't take care of my niece. She's getting high and whatnot. My niece gets smoked in the head by one of the guys she's hanging around with a golf club. I take her for stitches. Tell her to go back home and stay there. She does, thankfully. She cleans herself up a bit and goes to college. Fast forward to me getting married and having my own 2 kids. She comes to visit with her fiance and my niece. She was now 6 and I catch C's trying to blow my husband. Goodbye for another 2 years and eventually goodbye to the husband too. That's a whole other issue. The jerk. Fast forward again and I'm with my first kiss from 13. My soulmate, Barf, and unbeknownst to me, he has a drinking problem. She takes advantage of that. She has admitted in the past, when I've asked why she keeps doing this to me, that she can't stand that I've always been successful and happy, so she tries to ruin it or take it away and starts sexting my boyfriend. They texted for a few days and feels bad. I read them, and that was that. He did cheat with other women, but was also blackout drunk for the better part of 2 years. He quit, has been sober since December 12, 2014. Different man. Amazing man and father. My sister on the other hand, I finally had enough, and at a little sister's wedding, right at the end, I told her to never call me, message me or try to reach me. Forget I'm her sister, because she's never treated me as such. We haven't spoken since then. That was 2013. She's still the same. My niece gets no attention. My mom has basically raised her when she's been close to them to take care of her. She comes to our house at 2. My sister is too busy worrying about this man or the next, too busy getting stoned. I'm not against smoking a joint, and too busy with her own life. She shouldn't never have been a mother. A professor at my college accidentally posted handwritten letters from, or to, his mistress on his class's website today. His wife is also a professor at my college. Wonder how that one's playing out this evening. Yikes. Edit. I will update if possible. One of my friends actually read the letters today, since clearly some students saved them, and they started circulating. I'll have to ask her about more details. No clue how the mix-up happened, but I really feel for his wife. Not a fun way to find out, and not fun to have it broadcasted on campus either. Edit 2. Texted my friend who read the letters. This is what she said. Yeah, it was crazy. It was about men and women and their relationship with sex. And it was pretty stereotypical and like psychological IDK how to explain it. And there was a flowchart in it basically explaining how to handle him regarding sex. Apparently the letter was cringe city. Edit 3. While a lot of you want to see the letters, I do not have them and wouldn't share the screenshots anyways. Something about that is against my moral compass, but glad you were all entertained as much as I was. I found it funny this question was asked right after I heard about this, so I just had to post. Probably one of the more shocking twists was that this professor is actually quite young, early 30s it looks like. I totally envisioned this being an old dude. Edit 4. So, apparently this actually happened May of this year, but the letter had resurfaced yesterday. The professor is no longer at my college and allegedly had a bit of a mental breakdown. I did get to see the flowchart. It was weird. I posted about this before, but he changed his phone password. I left it for months until something just wasn't sitting right in my gut. I unlocked his phone with my thumb, and I didn't even have to look. There was a messaging app open with a girl he was meeting the next day. I sent him to work without confronting him. I reset passwords through a long chain of emails to finally access the one associated with the messaging app. Lo and behold, he was sending approximately 10,000 emails per year for the last 4 years of our relationship. He was living a whole second life and hiding it from everyone. Our relationship had never appeared stronger, and we had been seeing a therapist to work on strengthening our communication for 8 months, once a week. Clearly he was hiding his issues from the therapist as well. At the time, I felt like it ruined my life. I remember thinking very clearly, what did I do to deserve this? When I thought that, something inside of me just snapped. I calmly went and bought a giant coffee and cardboard boxes. I packed all his things up before he was home from work and changed our locks. The end. Edit. People are asking. I moved his things into storage and left the key along with the passive aggressive notes. He left me a short note apologizing for what he did and owning up to it. He made a social media post telling everyone what he did and asked they leave him alone and support me. I saw him weeks later to talk, and he didn't try hide what he had done in transparent. I loved him, and if he had came to me and admitted he had this problem, I would have helped him seek therapy. It wasn't the subject matter so much that is the issue. An addiction is an addiction. It's the lying. Not me but my neighbor who is also my best friend. He was having his 30th birthday party and a bunch of people were over at his condo. He was intoxicated. A solid 7/10 intoxicated and spilled his beer on his shirt, so he decided to change shirts. He asked me to come with him because he wanted to ask me something in private, so I went with him upstairs. He opened his bedroom door and we saw his boss going to town on his fiancée. I will never forget the look on his face, his fiancée's face, and his boss's face. The silence was broken up by "this isn't what it looks like" routine. My friend responded with, "If this isn't what it looks like, why was his dick so far inside you?" I stood there in amazement and was in a state of shock. His boss got dressed and I walked him out of the party. The pose even grabbed a roadie before he left. My friend came downstairs and immediately chugged a beer and announced my now ex-fiancée was caught having sex with my boss, and I walked in on them with her legs behind her head. I didn't know she could do that. Usually she lays there like a starfish. Let's get really fucked up. He was kind of a mess for a while after that. Luckily, it was his condo. He owned and paid for both cars. His fiancée just quit her job to be a housewife. Instant karma. Postscript. It took him a year to date again. I set him up with a coworker of mine. They are great together. The post boss. Well, he got what he deserved in the end. He was caught sleeping with the wife of the owner of the company he worked for. Fired and my buddy was promoted. His fiancée, well, she moved in with her parents again and had to give up her lavish lifestyle. Last time I saw her she tried to flirt with me and be playful. I shut that down and told her never to speak to me again. Girlfriends come and go, but best friends only come by every once in a while. Edit. My friend never asked me the question he wanted to ask. Probably best he doesn't. On the subject of grabbing the roadie, I want to like that move so badly, but I just can't. Thanks for the comments and the laughs. Hopefully this story helps you in the future or present. Not sure how, but I hope it does. Fabulous. Mine's weird. It's not quite cheating, but it's weird. So apps are a thing in the gay community. A big thing. Bars are disappearing. So just meeting someone out and about can be a little difficult for a lot of us. I've had apps for bears, burly hairy dudes with beards, for years now. Chat with a lot of men. Some have become friends. Very few have become any more than that. I finally met a guy a few years ago, and it was fine for a while. Got rid of most of the dating profiles, switched all statuses to taken on the one app I use to connect with friends across the country and overseas. Saw him on the app and that was fine. I didn't care. He wasn't looking for sex or dicking around, neither was I, so it didn't matter. Life went on. A week or so later, he saw me on the app and got wildly pissy about it. We had words. I explained why I didn't want to get rid of it and assured him he could ask for my phone and look through my messages whenever he wanted. Thought we were good. Oh no. Shortly thereafter, someone in town for work struck up a conversation. Really good looking, but I'm taken. That's cool. He just wants to be friends and chat. Fantastic. Having a friend who just wants to be friends is excellent. We talk for months about all kinds of things and it never gets sexual. Here and there, a random, faceless profile will ask for sex. Those folks get told to fuck off because I'm not looking for that. Suddenly, however, new penpal telling me he's been chatting with a guy looking for sex who sounds a lot like the guy I'm seeing. He even points the profile out to me, and while it isn't my dude's profile, they're the same distance from me. The description is dead on, though, so I confront the boyfriend about it. No, it's not me. I'd never do that to you. He says, but the description is so close I can't help but believe the penpal. Something feels all wrong about this. He also physically kept me from leaving his apartment, which sent up all sorts of red flags. He also sat outside my apartment for a night and I only found out the next morning because he sent me a text about that. Creepy. In a hoe, I stay off the app for a few days and in the meantime, decide things need to end. Nothing feels right, so I call it off. He cries, there's crying, everything's tears and awfulness and he's calling and texting rapid fire. I'm not allowed to break off a relationship, apparently. That's something we both have to agree to. No. I can end a relationship if I want to. Decide to log back onto the app and shut it down, though, because with him following me, I don't want another way for him to follow me. But oh look, a message from penpal. It's not your boyfriend. I asked him, and he said it's not him. Don't do anything stupid. I message him back and update him. Weirdly, that account doesn't message me back, another account does, identifying himself as penpal who deleted the app, but made another profile. That's weird. Why is he yelling at me? Why is he so mad? What's happening here? Why is his profile suddenly showing at the same location as my now ex? Oh yeah, funny thing, these apps allow you to choose whether or not you show your distance to other profiles. Penpal Man and a bunch of the others who tried to solicit sex weren't showing distance before, but now suddenly they are. They're all in the same place too. Doesn't matter where I go, if it's work, my house, a friend's house, those profiles are all at the same place. Everything scarily clicked. New penpal. A catfishing profile meant to get information out of me. Guys soliciting sex or hitting on me. All catfishing profiles. They're all his. They're all him. This person I thought was an interesting friend. Nope, just a lie. Contacted the app admins about it and they confirmed. To date, 9 different profiles. He's been stalking me for the last 3 years. Now, TL. Dr. X tried catfishing and it all backfired on him. Now he's a creepy stalker. My boyfriend was sleeping with his ex right in front of my face for months and I ignored the signs. The first thing that I noticed was that he all of a sudden stopped talking about her, went from complaining about her all the time to never even saying her name. Next, my toothbrush at his place disappeared, and the couple items I did have he put in a bag under the sink, covered by a towel. When I asked, he said he didn't want his daughter to get into it the weekends she was there. Same thing with the one pair of flip-flops I had there. They went missing one day, and after pressing him over and over he got them off of the back porch that no one even goes on, after saying repeatedly that he had no idea where they went. Then, he started to pick fights with me Saturday nights 4 or 5 in a row. He would text me a whole bunch of times. If I didn't respond to the first text in 2 minutes he would just be mean, saying I'm ignoring him and not to bother talking to him the rest of the night cause I must be hanging out with someone else. Even with all the little things piling up I still thought he wouldn't do that to me. The day I accidentally caught them was the worst. We made dinner plans with another couple for that night, but around 4 PM he started texting me acting like a complete asshole. Said he was drunk and in a bad mood and depressed and just couldn't go out and not to come over because he would just be a jerk and he didn't want to do that to me. Well, I figured it'd be a good girlfriend and bring him dinner from the restaurant. I texted him 5 minimums before I left and said I was on my way, and he texted back and said he was in bed and not to come. But I said I'll just leave it in the fridge cause I already bought it and didn't want to waste it. When I drove up to his house, his car was pulled all the way up the driveway like another car had been parked behind it, and I thought that was weird since I always had to pull his car in to park in the driveway because he would park at the bottom. When I got inside, he was upstairs in his room, fully dressed. There were 2 cups on the nightstand. I decided the easiest way would be to catch him in a lie, so all I said was I saw someone pulling out of your driveway as I was pulling up. Who was that? The look on his face said it all. I started crying, begging him to tell me the truth. He said I was crazy and that his brother had just stopped by to drop some stuff off. Well, that was it. I knew he was lying for sure. I pulled up Snapchat and his brother had snapped from a baseball game 2 hours away. Obviously he was caught, so he came clean, said he was still in love with her even though she was horrible and I was so much better. He couldn't get over her and would never be able to, and he wanted to tell me for so long, and that he thought I really knew cause I'm so smart and I know him so well, blah blah blah. I tried to make it work, but a week later I drove by after he said I was annoying him all day and wanted to be alone, and her car was there. I knocked on the door and he answered, but couldn't really say much. We both knew she was upstairs. I yelled up that she was a slut and she came downstairs. She said had no idea we were together. I wasn't sure what to believe, so I just left. He called me a lot, begged me for forgiveness, said he never slept with her, they were just hanging out. I still miss him dearly, but I can't do that to myself. Being alone is better than being with someone who doesn't really love you. Edit. Thanks for the messages of support. This was pretty recent so it helps. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe the channel.